Hello and welcome to the Seven Figure Conversations with Asa Leveaux. I am your host, Asa Leveaux, and let me just say it's Asa, it's not Asa, it's not Asa, it's not any of those things, I promise. It is Asa Leveaux. If you have no idea what it is that I do, I transform industry experts to become industry icons in 4 steps without coaching. I will say that again for those of you who did not know that I actually know what I do. So what I do is I transform industry experts into industry icons in 4 steps without coaching. The reason why we are here at the Seven Figure Conversation with Asa Leveaux is simply you. That's it. We are here for you. We definitely understand that you are a business owner, you are an entrepreneur, you desire to have and experience a life of 7 figures. So what better way than to bring on those who have already done that so we can have conversations with them. So I'm not going to do a long intro because we all know why we're here. There's someone very dope and amazing, ready to support us, ready to tell us about this 7-figure lifestyle and the journey. And so the person that we have today is a woman who I've recently been introduced to by the name of Karla Singson. And let me just say, this woman is just from paper. Now we're gonna get into the person that she is, but just on paper, she's dope. When I say dope, I'm talking about featured in Forbes, Future Sharks, Thrive Global, Inc., BuzzFeed. She's an award-winning speaker, entrepreneur, has spent over a decade, ladies and gentlemen, humans, over a decade, founding and building online and physical businesses. Her latest success includes taking her outsourcing company from 0 to 7 figures. I'm not going to skip over that like that's not nothing. So I'm going to say it again, 0 to 7 figures. Yeah, she did that. That is phenomenal for me. I'm sure that possibly could be phenomenal for her, but I'm here to tell you that you are in the right place at the right time to hear more from Karla. So without further ado, hello, Karla.
Hey, Asa, thank you so much for having me. And I'm so excited to do this with you.
Same, I'm very happy. So before we even get started, I would love to know who little Karla was at 6. So 6-year-old little Karla, around the house, what was she like?
Well, 6-year-old Karla is definitely a nerd already. I actually started going to school at 2 because I started to learn how to read at 2. And my parents were so shocked and they didn't want me wasting my time watching TV or playing. And so they tricked me into thinking that reading is playing and reading is fun. So at 6 years old, I could just imagine myself, reading books and playing with, I think, kitchen. I think that was my favorite, toy, like the kitchen set, like any other girl.
I completely get that. So you said you started reading at the age of 2, which is not common. That is not common. Do you feel that that was your entryway into the later success that you had? Because I even read that you graduated college at 19.
I did. So you're absolutely right. Being able to kind of get ahead of everyone, I would say, was a benefit for me. I entered college at 15. I finished my bachelor's degree at 19. And this was actually not because I'm like super smart or anything. The story is that because we were so poor, my mom needed to work immediately, or needed to work when I was a little over 1 year old, and we lived in this duplex, and then the next door was a makeshift daycare center. And so my mom asked a favor from the owner of the daycare center, which became her close friend, if I could sit in their classes. And I was very well-behaved girl, very quiet and timid and meek. And she was like, she's not going to cause any trouble. So I sat at the back of this daycare center and I was learning with these kids. And magically, I went home and my mom was surprised that I was reading. I was starting to read. She was like, this is crazy. And so she enrolled me in a real school immediately so that I could just start to learn. And that started obviously my love for learning really early and started everything really early. And I know, for people who are listening, I know that a lot of entrepreneurs now, especially those who share a lot on social media, tell you stuff like college, I'd rather start a business than go to college. But for me, college was an amazing part of my life, and it's definitely a matter of time. So I entered college at 15. So when I was 15, that was an amazing time to go to college. However, if you are 25 or more, thinking of going to college, I would say because of the time, it's better for you to start a business or get a job and learn along the way. So it's not a black or white thing.
I love that designation. It really is about the time. As someone who has went to college, took years to finally graduate from that college. I completely agree. I align with that message. If you're over 25 and you're not trying to get into something special like a lawyer or become a surgeon, then yes, definitely. So with your graduating at 19, do you immediately go into business or do you go into working for others?
Yeah. So I had a pretty good college resume when I graduated. I was the president of the debate team, hashtag nerd alert. And and this is Asian AF, but I was also like a table tennis athlete. And I had this like, so that if you think about this college student at 19, that's a pretty good resume, right? However, I realized when I was applying to jobs, it actually broke my heart because my dream jobs, they wouldn't accept a teenager. And they thought it was too risky. I would probably still like drink at work or something like that. And so I applied to P&G, Coca-Cola, and I think L'Oreal, I think. But all of them didn't want me. And so it broke my heart. And so I was a writer when I was in college. And so I started applying for writing jobs just so I have a job. And the only place that accepted me was an ad agency, and they accepted me as a copywriter. However, I was still a little rebel, and I only had kept that job for 8 months. And then when I started doing a dress code, I was very resistant to it, and until I just quit.
So I'm loving the rebel aspects that comes out, and it's seen very, very early in you. I think that entrepreneurs, people who, do things that many others don't, they definitely have a rebel aspect to them. So was you being a woman, you were a girl, do you feel that that rebelness was targeted? Was it supported? How did you feel about that?
That's a good question. And it's pretty interesting because I've always been the girl who would follow rules, right? If you look at my background in school, I I think in elementary, before elementary, preschool, I graduated like valedictorian. I was always in the honors. Like I was that kind of girl. And then one day I just was like, no, like no. I think to be honest with you, I think it's poverty. I grew up in the Philippines. I grew up in a poor country. I grew up poor in a poor country. So that's very different. I know you guys, most of your audience live in the United States, and you guys have a huge privilege on your shoulders. And I want you guys to really take advantage of that. But it's different for people like us. And I've seen my parents hustle all their lives just to afford their tuition. I remember eating like ramen for like years, and just I could see my parents working really hard. And then my dad held a job for all of his life, actually, yeah, until he retired, and one for working for one company, but he's always had this dream to start a business. And I feel like it was in Asian culture it is such a big achievement to honor your parents. and to honor your parents' dream, right? And so my parents' dreams was always to start a business. And I went to college, I took up a business course so I could start a business. And I feel like starting a business is partially a fulfillment of honoring my parents' dreams, and also partially saying no to the reality that was presented to me. So it was kind of like, I wanted a job, nobody will give me a job. Well, F you jobs. I don't want a job. Then maybe there's another way, something like that.
Got it. But your parents, did your dad want, what type of business did he want to open? Did he want to open the type of type of business that you have now, which is outsourcing, or did he want to get into something else?
My parents were very traditional. They wanted very traditional type of businesses. Like my dad worked for a big gas company, the Linde Group. It's I think it's currently the biggest gas company in the world, or second biggest or something. But he also, because that was his background, he wanted to start a business in that realm. Like he wanted to be a distributor to sell oxygen to people, if you buy oxygen at your home. But my parents sold a lot of things all throughout their lives. They were hustlers because whatever my dad made was always just not enough. So I saw my mom sell Avon, Sara Lee. I saw my dad sell literally random stuff. Like our house would be like a bodega of different things. Oh, what are my parents selling now? It's just different. Sometimes it's clothes, it's jewelry, it's lampshades, it's different things.
Thank you for giving me the background to your parents' life and as they hustle. And the reason why I say that is because those that are watching us, those who are listening to us, I sometimes feel that that's where they are. They are literally doing what you just said. They have the lampshades, and they have the MLM jewelry, and then they have the real estate, and then they have the Herbalife, and then it's like so many things.
Yeah.
And so do you believe that focus has been one of the truisms that has allowed you to reach a 7-level opportunity or position?
Absolutely. Focus is very big. Focusing on one thing, solving one problem, serving one market. It's so easy to say out loud, but a lot of people, it seems hard for a lot of people to do it. And I think that is kind of a multifaceted problem, and it's partially because of, number one, fear. A lot of people start businesses and then they start another business and then they start this other hustle and then they consider being an influencer, and then maybe I can also do crypto. Like, I think partially it's because of fear. It's like, what if this one thing doesn't work, right? But you're also not putting enough time or work for it to work, So I definitely think a lot of our issues can be fixed if we simplify our lives more. And it's like a sculpture, right? A painting becomes more beautiful the more you add to it, right? Like you add more paint, you add more color, but a sculpture becomes more beautiful with the things that you take out of it. So I think we should think of our lives more as a sculpture. I have taken TV and alcohol out of my life, almost completely. Actually, I used to like drink a lot. Honestly, I became an alcoholic over the pandemic. I'm not ashamed to like raise your hand if you became an alcoholic during the pandemic. Like, you know, it wasn't a good time for everyone, right? And and I used to be an avid like drinker, and I used to drown my problems in mindless activities like TV and dating the wrong people. Like, come on, guys. Like, no one is immune to this, but you can definitely stop doing that.
Agreed. So agreed. So agreed. So I would love to know, with you being so basically brilliant since you were 2, and because being able to graduate at 19, that is not, I don't care what country you're from, I don't care what city you're in, I don't care what background you're from. graduating college at 19 is a brilliant thing. Let me be very clear. So, what made you get into outsourcing of all things?
Yeah. So I always say that the best way to learn management, team management, is to be the eldest child of an Asian family or a poor family, actually, right? It doesn't matter. Um, um, but I think my journey was also kind of long towards the business that I have now. I have two physical businesses in the Philippines. One is a flower shop. I've had it for 13 years, and I love that business because it's very relaxing, and it gives people joy and happiness. And then the other physical business that I have is an event management company. We plan corporate events and do PR for companies in the Philippines. And then I remember in 2017, I started going to masterminds and conferences outside of the country. I wanted to learn more. I was making around 200K a year, and I couldn't go past it. And I've been making that money for like 3 years, and it's good money. I mean, let's accept that it's good money. I'm not ungrateful, but it was bothering me why I can't get past that. And so I realized I needed like to do something different. So I started going to masterminds and seminars, and I met certain people who told me that they want to outsource to the Philippines because it's inexpensive and people speak good English. And like me, I grew up in the Philippines. I started going to the States in 2018. I moved to the States in 2019. So, but you can't you wouldn't know. Like I could still tell people I'm from California or something. But and so I told my friends, the people I met these masterminds, I haven't done that before, but I'll do it for you as a favor. And so I started hiring executive assistants for my friends. And then they started telling me that I shouldn't put my about 7 years of hiring experience in hiring and team management, because I used to plan concerts, parties, weddings, and managing and hiring for those things is super high level. So they just opened my eyes to my own skills. And so I started hiring executive assistants for my friends. They're super happy. So this is 2017 when I started my outsourcing business. Those people that I hired executive assistants for, they're still my clients up to today. So it's been 5 years, and I'm super proud of even though when I was winging it, I was really serving these people well, and we just kept improving throughout the years.
That's okay. I never would have thought, because you were saying, about how smart you are, and then being in the Philippines, like that's where you're from. I would not have thought you would have had to leave the Philippines in order to realize what was just there in front of you.
Oh yeah, yeah.
But that's the benefit of a mastermind.
Yes, and also getting out of your current environment. The same thing as, if you look around if your friends are like depressed and alcoholics, like stop hanging out with them. If the people in your hometown are small-minded, leave your hometown. I moved to Mexico last year because I was also wanting something else, and that's actually that was the time when we crossed 7 figures, when I took my life to my hands, and I wanted something different, and I wanted to live near a beach and get sun every day and eat fresh food and live a higher quality of life than when I was in the States. My business also changed.
Okay, but how did you do that without, like you said before, like you did it without ads? How do you do that without ads?
Yeah, that's a juicy part. So we grew our outsourcing company from 0 to 7 figures without ads. And I would definitely credit that to two things. So we're going to get businessy right now, guys. Story time is over. So number one, I would say customer or client obsession. I learned this principle, of course, from the biggest company in the world, probably right now, Amazon, right? Amazon always talks about customer obsession. And the more you're obsessed about the customer experience, the higher the higher value you give to them. And when they're in that state, when they're just so happy with your service, then you put them in a state where they will buy more from you, number one. Number two, they will tell your friends about you, even if you don't tell them or reward them in doing so. And number three, it makes them feel good because if they refer you and you do a good job for their friend, they're the superstar. So there is a lot to gain by just obsessing over your customer experience. And I think a lot of business owners right now forget about that and they obsess about irrelevant stuff, like how many views they're getting, like how many I don't know how many leads, even how many leads. Yeah, that's important because that's your KPI. But there are tons of other things that the business owners are obsessing, and then they forget about the most important person in their business, which is their customer. So I would say number one, that was really a needle mover for us. And the tactical thing that I applied is hiring client success managers. So these are not customer support people. Client success managers are obsessed with giving the highest value to your clients and giving the best experience to your clients. So in our company, in Proximity Outsourcing, the company that I led to 7 figures, I was a CEO and owner of that company. I stepped away from the CEO role right now because I realized I'm not the best person to run operations. But this is another conversation altogether. But the reason, the way we did, we really got to like steady growth. You know, we were making 50K a month, and then 70K, then 90K, then we crossed 6 figures, and then it has never gotten below 150K since. And it's because of our client success managers. One of the big reasons is because they're just really obsessed. When we onboard the clients, they analyze their needs, they provide high value, and then they ask for a referral also. So that's part of their job. So right now in our company, a lot of clients come to us to hire client success managers. So I definitely, it could be like your next biggest needle mover. If you're listening right now, try to hire for that position, definitely. So that's number one. Number two is developing a really good affiliate program. So a lot of the growth in your company, a lot of the missed growth could come from alignments or partnerships. And what can you give to others so that they can also like give to you? So, you know, you have a ton of assets laying around, or you can give a free class, or or straight up tell them you're going to pay them a commission. So developing a good affiliate program also helps in growing without ads. And I'm not saying that ads are bad, but in my experience, if you can't grow a business organically, it's going to be hard to do it with ads. So take care of your customers, figure out your offer, and try to grow organically. And then you have gambling money, I call it gambling money, to spend not just on ads, but to spend money to gain a customer. So other things that we've done that are positive ROI are guesting on podcasts and having a VA make sure that I get on podcasts, buying booths in conferences and sponsoring conferences is also really good. Investing in SEO is also really good. So when you have the money, it's easy to gamble to, you know, in these different things that could get you to your next million. So sorry, that was a long monologue.
No, I needed all of that. We all needed all of that, and I'm going to be asking for some more. So the customer, okay, for those of you who are with us, those of you that are co-creating this moment with us and right now, if you haven't been taking notes, I don't understand why you are not taking notes. So let's just so far before we go into anything further, let's just talk about what you said so far.
Mhm.
Some things that I've gotten, and I have not been able to write every single thing down, but I've definitely written some things down. One thing is removing distractions. So if that's removing alcohol, if that's removing bad dates, if that's removing TV, whatever that is, remove the thing that you are spending so much time on that you could be spending on other people. As far as the dating thing, because as a single entrepreneur, I know what it's like. You find yourself, you do more prospecting on Tinder than you do LinkedIn.
That's a meme right there, Asa.
I mean, seriously, we find ourselves and we're just swiping, and you haven't asked anybody anything about your business in days, but you've matched, with 4 people, which means you've swiped 500 easily, and you aren't doing that same prospecting for the business. Something else that has definitely resonated with me so far is definitely the customer obsession. I had never heard that before. I've never heard it like that. So, but I agree. I align with it. I believe it. Yes. Are you completely obsessed by your, and do they feel obsessed by you?
Right. Exactly.
That's important. That's so good. And the client success manager. So because I'm very clear and transparent that I have not yet done it. I'm on the road to 7 figures. And that's why I borrow experiences from you and others. But we're getting there. We're only 4 clients away. 4 clients away. And one thing that I definitely am like, I need to implement that is the client success manager. That is so, I want to say basic and rudimentary, but it's not. It's really not.
Often forgotten. Yeah. That's the thing.
It's so forgotten and it's needed.
Yeah, absolutely. And, just so a lot of people are not intimidated by this, the ROI for your business is just so easy to see. And if you want to outsource to the Philippines, we can chat. It's only going to cost not like for a part-timer, 20 hours a week. I think you can start with that. A lot of people can start with that. It's just like 1,200 a month. So it's really not a big, for the ROI, it can get you referrals. It can get you, feedback. A lot of people, that's the thing also, a lot of people are scared with feedback. They're scared to hear that they suck. But also, yeah. I mean, when my boyfriend tells me that, you should not do this, I'm like, not really listening right now. I'm just kidding now. But like, I also learned this is a personal journey. You will learn that a lot of the things that stop you from scaling are personal problems. They're not business problems. And when I started to not be scared of feedback, it definitely helped me in my business.
And same for feedback. I am open. I think that the 20 years being in the military, growing up with the mother that I did, being the eldest of 5 kids.
Oh, wow, 5 kids.
And then having, someone I was married to and now having an ex. If you have all those experiences, feedback is coming.
Feedback. There you go. Listen to Asa, guys.
Yeah, feedback is coming. But with that being said, the client success manager definitely is someone that can give you feedback on how things are going. But what else can a client success manager do? And the reason why I'm asking this question is because as individuals are listening to us, and I don't want anyone to feel as though this platform is going to ensue the shiny object syndrome.
Right.
So I want you to feel that this is yet just another thing that you need to go do. Let's be very clear on the why. What is the purpose behind this, the intention behind it?
Yeah. So I would say I would share a lot of the needle movers for our business and our clients, and this is what we help people with anyway. So include your client success managers in the onboarding as early as the onboarding so they can get to know the clients and they can be familiar with what is important to the client. So when people outsource, in our industry, they have different reasons. Most of the time they say, oh, I just want to have more free time. I just want someone else to be accountable for this, but sometimes there's a deeper issue. Like, for example, I don't really trust my COO, so I would like another person to take a look at this. So we want to uncover that and give them a safe space to discuss that with us. And it's part of the client success manager's job to really uncover that and develop a relationship with a client where they can be the client's best friend in our company. Because this is the thing, guys. If you're paying someone money, it feels like an us and them. Because if, for example, if I hire Asa to coach me, I'm giving him money. So now he has to give me something. So there's like an otherness there. However, if you have someone in your company telling Asa, telling me, someone in Asa's company telling me, hey, I know you work with Asa, but I want you to treat me as your best friend in this organization. If you have something that you want to share that you don't want to share with him, I got you. If there's something we can improve on, I got you. If there's something that you need, I got you. So that is a really important conversation to have, because the psychology of paying money is an unavoidable dynamic in the customer and service provider relationship. And having a client success manager softens that dynamic and makes this relationship, like a better, more like symbiotic relationship, instead of I paid you money, give me this, right? Yeah.
Exactly.
And yeah, so that's onboarding. And then in the ongoing, I would say just have your client success manager continually ask for feedback. And I definitely recommend your client success manager openly asking for referrals by the second or third month of working together.
That's smart. That's really smart.
Mm-hmm.
I like what you've built over there. Like that could be so beneficial. So
Yeah.
I'm going to go back a little bit about you building this 7-figure business without ads in the outsourcing industry, because one thing I know for sure, prospecting is real. It is very real if you don't have ads.
Mm-hmm.
What did you experience growing your business in regards to prospecting? Did you feel that it was a hit and miss? Did you feel lucky? Were you just like in the weeds of it all, just going day in and day out, like talking to 100 people a day? Like, what was your process?
Yeah, that's a very good question. Little caveat here, I do have the advantage of having a social media following. So I am a writer, and I remember this time between 2016. Actually, if you remember, I'm gonna date myself here. If you remember, in like the early 2000s to the late 2000s, blogging was a thing, right? Remember the bloggers that would come to restaurants to get a free meal, they write a review. Bloggers were like up there, like we valued their opinion. I was a blogger, so I did that. I get invited to resorts to stay there. So I just love writing. I love writing content, creating content. So my first round of prospecting definitely came from social media. And I definitely enjoyed the benefits of having a social media following. My following is not that big. It's around 50,000 total. Most of my leads are on Facebook, and most of my activity is on Facebook, because I noticed that on Facebook, people are human. People announce their engagements on Facebook, talk about their family on Facebook, they talk about work. And that's why I love Facebook as a platform. But you gotta strike the right balance of being a human and being a business person. So but because if all you do on Facebook is sell, people will start blocking you, and they will not like that. So just chill. And then so I use that for initial prospecting. And then I went out a lot, just continued to meet different people, also in a selfish pursuit of learning from them. And so I always like ask questions about them. I was, listening a lot. Listening is a very important part of prospecting. And then I would say diligence, do the work, list your leads, follow up with them, put it in a Google sheet. If you don't have money, if you're starting, put in a Google sheet. You don't have to pay for CRM. Continue, just do the work. And if I could make a recommendation, I love this book, Fanatical Prospecting by Jeb Blount. So I read all of the books that he puts out. He has a lot of really good content on sales and prospecting. So Fanatical Prospecting, I read and reread that almost every year. I give it to all of my salespeople when they start. So a lot of good lessons there.
That's okay. Just the title alone sounds really good. And as someone who is on LinkedIn Sales Navigator daily, someone who definitely messages people who engage in my content on social media, I think that I could benefit from that book. I think we could all benefit from this book. Yes, you, the person listening, if Karla is saying that this helped get her to 7, let's go ahead and read the book.
I wish I had an affiliate link, but I don't.
Right? Exactly. Maybe I should get one in the show notes.
Get one, Asa. Yeah, do it.
Yeah, let me work that out. So thank you for answering that question about the prospecting, because I think that sometimes people don't truly understand that 7-figure earners, 7-figure creators didn't like rub a lamp and it came. Like,
yeah. I rubbed something else. No, just kidding.
All right. Like, these people actually took action. There's nothing wrong with taking action. I don't care if you are someone who believes in any number of things, whether it be spirituality, abundance, law of attraction. The thing about it, if you listen to Abraham Hicks, even as long as I listen to Abraham Hicks, something that they say, take inspired action. They never leave the action out, ever. Ever. So please remember that. Something else that I definitely would love to know. I listened to many different interviews with monetarily successful people, maybe entertainment successful people, and there is so much digging into the sucky part of their life, about how bad it was, how low it got. I am going to do something a little bit different. So I'm just going to act like I'm going to assume, and I do my best not to assume based on Don Miguel Ruiz's book, to not assume. However, I'm going to assume that, yeah, you had some bad things happen to you. And with that being said, I borrow joy. I am someone who borrows joy incessantly. So I would like to know a couple things that are the joy side of being a 7-figure earner. So I would like to know, what did it feel like to finally know you did it? Like the day you knew it happened. Tell me about that day, please.
Beautiful day. Yeah. So our first 6-figure month, I think it was crazy because it was a jump. It was September to October last year, 2021. And I remember, I think in September we made 94, and then in October we made 130. So it was a huge jump. And in that moment, I definitely felt like this is a fluke. Like, this is not, I don't count this, And then the next month we did, like 6 figures again. And the next month we did 6 figures again. And I'm like, holy yes, like we are a 7-figure company now, and we're a subscription-based company. So the more we sell, obviously there's a little bit of attrition. There's always attrition, even if you're the biggest company in the world. There's always people that drop off. So you just keep doing the fanatical prospecting. And and that moment was very meaningful for me, because I felt like, once again, this is why everyone needs therapy. The first moment I had in my mind was like, damn, I made my parents proud. Like, everything I do, my parents are my moral compass, and everything I do is always aligned to what they think of me, obviously in a good way. A lot of people get it wrong when they're trying to reach a certain way for their parents to look at them. But for me, it was like, wow, this is amazing. Like, this is something that I would never, ever thought that would happen to me, but my parents always saw this for me. And so because in the Philippines, even making 1,000,000 pesos, $20,000, that's $20,000. It's a big milestone. And I remember when I first made that money, my mom wouldn't believe it. She was like literally like laughing. She's like, oh, no way you're making that money. And 1,000,000 pesos, 20K. And then I had to show her the ATM receipt so that she would believe me. And then and it was a moment for sure. So that was a great moment for me. And then when I hit, 7 figures, when I realized we're a 7-figure company, it was also a great moment for me going back to the fact that I fulfilled what my parents has always thought, the person I am, because they've always seen that person, not for the money, but because they just believed in how good I was and how driven I was. And money is just it's just a physical manifestation of greatness, right? And we always, if you're striving for greatness, there's always benefits to it. So one of those is money, and the others are also worth striving for.
Indeed. Okay, so one more question about the 7-figure awareness. What is one thing that you either thought or experienced as a result of being a 7-figure entrepreneur?
Yeah. Well, I can remember 2 moments for sure. There was a moment I randomly, didn't plan for it, bought a Louis Vuitton bag. And I sound so shallow. I'm sorry, guys. I grew up poor. I grew up poor.
Pause.
This is a trophy for
you
me.
You do not sound shallow because I love Louis Vuitton.
Yeah. If you don't like Louis Vuitton, like stop listening to this right now. I don't like you. No, just kidding. But I remember that moment for sure when it was just easy for me to make that purchase. I didn't have to ask for an installment plan. I didn't have to borrow money for it. I didn't have to ask my boyfriend for it. I didn't even plan for it. So I didn't have to save for it. I didn't have to call my bank. I just did it because it was a good day to buy a purse. I like that moment. And the other moment is when I rented like a 2-story yacht for my birthday. So, and I threw a party for my friends, and my friends were like, how much is it? How can we contribute? And I'm like, no, guys, I got it. And then, those were really, really good moments for me. And then I would also add a little thing, being able to donate to charity regularly. So I set up my charity donations as an auto debit. I actually started doing it December of last year. That's also a really, really good thing that I was able to do. And the funny thing is, a little embarrassing, the funny thing is I could have done it sooner when I was making way less, but I didn't do it. So that's on me. But when I crossed, because I thought that I needed to make X amount of money to be able to do that comfortably, but that's just in my head. And when I was able to do that, it made me feel really good.
And thank you for adding the charitable component. That's something that I have consistently heard 7-figure individuals, 8-figure individuals say, is the charitable component, just how good it feels and their desire, because they remember, a time when they didn't have it. Based on that, I definitely, a few years ago, I set up the Leveaux Foundation, 501c3, just for that. Just because my thing was, what can I do today to make the life I desire a reality? So what one little micro step can I take? And that was the micro step. So when I do hit that number, I'm like, okay, so now we can fund it as well as I desire for it to be funded. So thank you for that. One of my last questions as we begin to wrap up is, you have a quote that I really, really like. And it says that you don't only have to love what you do, you also have to love who you are becoming. And that resonated with me, I think, now more than ever. And I would love to know a couple of things. Number one, what type of person were you before you became this version?
I cared about the wrong things. I gave myself anxiety worrying about the wrong things, like how many likes are my posts getting, or when I was single, obviously I'm a girl, so a lot of the game out there when you're single is looks based, right? So I was conscious about my looks, and if I didn't get enough, I don't know, like swipes or whatever, I was just like, oh, am I ugly? Am I, should I work out more? Like, am I starve myself 1 meal a day? So like we all go through these phases, and there's no shame in that. And actually, sometimes we need that so that we can do better, right? You have a point of comparison. And so for me, I focused on the wrong things, and I was easily distracted. I had bad habits that I covered with strategic thinking, I would say. I would openly admit that because I read a lot and I worked a lot. I would openly say I feel like I could just think of solutions easier and faster, or I have a higher level of mental acuity. Um, but and so I thought that I could cover my bad habits by being smart, quote unquote, being smart, right? So one example would be when I was doing a lot of consulting work. So right now I do very little consulting work, but before, when I was doing a lot, I would not do the thing that I told the client I would do. And then 1 hour before our call, I would frantically do the strategy and then present it, and the client will like it, but I didn't give them the proper honor of their time and money because I didn't give my best. I should have done that strategy 2 weeks ago. I should have given it a lot more thought, thinking, research, but I just covered it by being smart, quote unquote. So I don't know if that makes sense, but that's how I felt. I wasn't proud of the people I dated. I wasn't proud um of my health. I drank a lot and I slept not a lot. And even the small things, like I wore more makeup because I felt more, I needed it, like things like that. So that's who I was. And this is another funny thing. I hated conversations with my attorney and my accountant. I hated it. I thought they were just like, oh, what is it again? And then because my mindset was wrong, right? Now I love these conversations. So yeah. And then I would say when I decided to be a different person, obviously the seven-figure company didn't appear in front of me immediately, but I asked myself, this is a quote that I also learned: when you have a goal, you don't ask yourself, what are the things I need to do in order to get to this goal, right? You need to ask yourself, who do I need to be so that this goal comes easy to me? Because there are people that it's just easy for them to achieve things. Like look at Elon Musk and what he has done. Obviously some people would argue he's an alien, but but look at what he has done. He has like started PayPal, like sold it, and then did the SpaceX thing, electronic cars, and now AI, and now Twitter. Like, it seems like it's easy for him to do these things. So you can be someone where goal achievement is easy for you. So I decided to be that person and then develop the habits, put in the work, and yeah, stayed grateful. And then one day it happened.
Yeah, one day it happened. That was great. That was great. Because I really do feel that it takes a shift in the molecular structure of our DNA
Absolutely.
to align with and allow
Mm-hmm.
a level of financial success to come. Yeah, you just can't be the person at home watching Who's the Father or
Right.
court shows all day and talking noise about every single entrepreneur alive and expecting that you're going to be this wonderful person. I'm not saying that you have to I'm not suggesting that anyone has to be like me or be like a certain deity or anything like that. But what I am saying is that it boils down to what I feel is, are you focused and do you feel worthy?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Honestly, do you feel focused and worthy to make that happen? Even this, I mean, because as someone who's not a seven-figure earner yet, I mean, I could feel unworthy talking to people who are. Like, I could be unworthy talking to people on LinkedIn that could be for my business and not for any reason. I just made it up and it all based on fear. So for those of you who are listening, I'm asking you, so take Karla's word as far as the becoming aspect, but just don't be afraid to become.
Yeah.
That's my take on it.
Yeah, there's actually a pretty good exercise. You know, worthiness is so important because in my business in outsourcing, a lot of the people, a lot of our clients actually don't outsource, don't hire a virtual assistant, don't get help. It's because deep down they feel like they're not worthy of growth. They're not worthy of this, all this free time. Like they feel like, oh, I have to hustle. So no, you don't have to hustle to like, you know, get to your next figure, 6 figures, 7 figures. Because it, and then I tried to really uncover it out of them, almost working like a therapist, like, what is it? What is it? And it's actually a deep sense of unworthiness. And this is common for people who grew up poor, because who are we to have housekeepers? Who are we to have, you know, to have help? It's different, right? It's a different state of being. And you need to be in that state of being in order to accept help, to accept help from Asa when he gives you the advice that could be the needle mover, to accept help from an outsourcing company. You can hire your best virtual assistant, to accept help from your therapist who wants to bring a positive change in you. You need that sense of worthiness is important. I would like to share one really good exercise for you to
Yes,
really
please.
improve this. I want you to think like a lawyer and write down on a piece of paper basically an argument or a set of arguments why you deserve success, why you deserve 7 figures, and why you deserve to live the life of your dreams. Because it's hard for our minds to really understand it unless we force it to be logical and we see physical evidence and we become empirical. So if you are in front of a judge that asks you, okay, Asa, what makes you think you're worthy of this life, of this business, of this revenue, of this income? Tell me why. You have 60 minutes to argue in the court of law. So you will start writing down really important, visible things that helps you remember and realize that you are worthy. And this is a really good exercise. So I definitely want you guys to try that.
So you don't know this about me, but I say this so often to my friends and family that it has now been quoted back to me. I often say to them, is there enough evidence to convict you of having a dream?
There you go. There you go.
And now, thanks to you, there's an exercise to go along with that. That's something that I've been saying for years now. So I am like, Rao, write a paper of why you're worthy of the success that you want. Like, wow.
Yeah, and then if you want to be more nerdy about it, you can also come up with rebuttals. And then you can rebut those rebuttals. Because there's another voice in your head that will always tell you you are not worthy, right? So I need you guys to pull up all of those times you watch Suits, you watch all of those law, whatever shows, attorney shows. I love Suits, Law and Order, The Good Wife, all of the law shows. You know, me, I have a law degree from University of Netflix. So so I'm really good at this.
I feel like I got one watching Succession.
Right? Oh my God, I need to get back on that show. I'm only limiting myself to 1 episode per day right now. So
that is so brilliant.
Yeah. Like it's
because
like
thank you for saying that, because I was this whole time I'm thinking, okay, Asa, you don't have cable, but you do have I have a small TV on my desk that I can see. But I don't have like a big, like I don't have my TV. TVs are not everywhere in my home. It's just really
Mm.
small and out of the way. But I like shows from the 80s,
Yeah.
like Designing Women and Golden Girls and
Mm-hmm.
in
Yeah.
Succession. So you said just
Seinfeld.
one show a day.
Yeah. One episode a day, it's just a teeny bit. It's like dessert. It's like dessert, literally. Yeah. You don't have to eat the whole cake, but you can treat yourself to a little bit.
Oh my God, that's gonna boost my productivity level so
How
much.
many episodes do you watch a day here,
Oh God,
Asa?
oh
The
God,
people are watching.
okay, I'm gonna be accountable and transparent in the moment. Uh, okay, if I just a normal day of just Golden Girls and Mom and Succession, I could watch 10 to 12 shows.
Oh, wow. There you go.
But saying it out loud, I feel horrible. I feel so horrible. But I say this often too, find a new feeling. So I will find a new feeling. So I
Yeah.
felt horrible. Now I feel now I feel determined
Mm.
to have that level of productivity in my life by only watching one episode. Does that count for Abraham Hicks Netflix on YouTube too?
I guess so. Also, you can replace it with other equally enjoyable hobbies. Like I have returned to reading a lot actually lately and going out for walks,
Yeah.
listening to podcasts, things like that. What other hobbies?
I did go run yesterday. I ran 4 miles.
Calling a friend, catching up. That's also a good way. It's hard, guys. It's hard. You're basically trying to beat addiction. It's, in America, grew up on TV. So it's okay. It's okay. But there's a ton of, like when you die, you will definitely not value all the time you spent in front of the TV. So fill your life with things that you value when you die. It's a pretty morbid way to think about it, but we
But
need
it's
to think about our mortality more, actually.
none of us are getting out of here alive.
Yep.
None of us. So it's my thing is not even morbid. It's if you aren't thinking of if you think about death like you think about rent, it's coming.
Yep. Yep. Yep.
It's
I like
coming.
that. Yeah.
So you have been a joy, a seven-figure joy today
Aw.
for me, and I know for those who have co-created this session with us today. I would love for you to tell us because we're talking all this talk about client success managers, customer obsession, and there's so many of us. They're like, okay, so we need to implement that yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
So what's the best way for us to take that step?
Absolutely. So you can visit our Facebook page or our website, Proximity Outsourcing. Our website is proximityplacements.com because we're rebranding our outsourcing website. But I'm also super easy to find on social media, Karla Singson. And I would love to give everyone here a gift if we can get on a consulting call and a free call to see how this works for you, and we can build you a plan that you can do yourself, or you can also get our help in getting to the next person in your business that you can invest in, that you can outsource tasks to, so you don't have to do it yourself, and your growth can be more predictable. And to all of the listeners of Asa's show, I'm happy to give all of you guys the $300 discount on the first month of our services. Just mention this podcast and I got you for sure.
That is significant, very significant. Thank you so much. And we talked about the client success manager. No, we're wrapping up, but do you also assist with the prospecting that we talked about?
Absolutely. So our best sellers, I would say, are virtual assistants, client success managers, appointment setters. They do a lot of prospecting, even replying to DMs and all that. We'll check whatever lead process you have currently in your business, and we'll make suggestions to improve it. And then we'll also onboard the person who can be responsible in doing that, so you don't have to do it yourself. So having a really good lead system is strong, obviously, for business growth. Number two, client success. I would absolutely recommend.
That's great. So you guys, please know that proximity outsourcing is available for you. It is a real thriving place that you can align yourself to. Please know also that all of that information is in the show notes. I'm certain that is in the show notes. I will make sure that it is. Please let us know how this conversation is supporting you, has supported you, what changes you are determined to make. What are you actually going to do now? I would love to know that. Thank you, Karla, for so much for taking time, creating time for us. This has not been wasted. You have been instrumental in our pathway to success. Thank you so much for all of you who have co-created this time with me. And Karla, thank you for being here. You are beyond important to me. Thank you so much. And as always, I am Asa Leveaux, dreams and blessings.
Thank you so much, Asa. I had so much fun and I'm excited to help your community. So I'm just here and I'm happy to help. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you, guys.